Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Adam Caplan. I'm your host of AC Radio, and I've got a very special guest with me today, a professional boxer, a flyweight fighter, David Alverdian, hailing from Israel. How we doing, baby?
I'm doing good, doing good. Could have gone better, but it's been a tough couple of days.
So let's get right into that, David. I mean, you're a professional boxer, but actually decided to again represent the country of Israel in the amateur boxing scene. You just had a tournament May 27th in Armenia, which must have been, pretty nice for you to actually fight in Armenia, considering that your father is Armenian. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is one of the only reasons that I actually came here to these European Championships. Because I actually know pretty much every single opponent that I could have faced here. So I thought, why not? I can beat them all pretty easily. But then it's been a while since I've been fighting the amateurs, and I forgot just how corrupt and just disgusting this whole sport is. I am so frustrated with everything that's going on here. So yeah, I wanted to represent Israel again. I came back home. This was a pretty kind of an old dream of mine to win the Europeans. So I said, why not? I come back home for a small vacation. Why not just on the way? I'm already in good shapes. Why not jump in straight into training camp and represent Israel in the Europeans?
Well, one thing that I wanted to ask you before we do talk about the Europeans, I don't think a lot of viewers know out there that not only as a pro boxer, that you're now able to actually go back and fight in the amateur. So could you just explain how a professional boxer who has left the amateur circuit could now come back? Is that due to the fact that it was on a national setting? Is that due to the fact that the rules have changed? Talk to me about that first.
Yeah, the rules have changed since 2016. Professional boxers can now compete in amateurs too. They don't want amateur, like the word amateur, to stick into the Olympic boxing program anymore. They removed it. Now it used to be AIBA, which means Amateur International Boxing Association. Now it just IBA, which is International Boxing Associations. They just hate that word, so they uh, they just changed the rules. Now, since 2016, all amateurs can compete in the Olympics, and there's few professionals that already did, like Keyshawn Davis. You know that he fought like 2 times before he went to the Olympic this time because of the COVID.
Right. Now, how was it for you going into the amateur circuits after being 6-0 in the pros?
Being 6-0 means nothing. It's just completely different sport. You know, the gloves are so different. I forgot how crap the gloves are in the amateurs. This is like just fighting with pillows. Um, and not just the gloves. You know, it's just different. 3 rounds, it just goes by real quick too. The different sport.
Right. Yes. It seems as if amateur boxing is a complete sprint. It's 3-minute rounds. You don't really have enough time to settle in the ring like you do in the pros. Also, the way the scoring system is as well is a little bit wonky. It has less to do with damage and overall performance, we'll say, and more to deal with punches landed. And usually pressure fighters as well do get the favoring. Is that correct?
No, the real answer is this is what the judges think of being told what to do. The, if you've seen what the judges are doing here, it's just horrible. I don't think I've been to any amateur tournament or championship as corrupt as this one. Um, it's just disgusting. It's just horrible what's going on. Now you have the major countries who are big with the boxing and they know how the whole system works. Every team comes with a bag of money, and the medals are before the tournament even starts. Um, you know which countries are gonna have. They know how many medals each country is gonna bring. So obviously you have to be at least a decent boxers because in a 3 rounder, with guys that are dedicating their whole life into the sport, all fights are pretty much even. Maybe you're going to be a little bit better than your opponent, or he's going to be a little better than you. But just everything is pretty much even. So all fights can go either way. So if some country comes in with a bag of money and say, okay, I need like 3 gold medals. Okay, this is going to cost this much money, and then the judges do their job. If you beat their opponent, like let's say I fought an opponent from Ukraine on my second fight. The first fight I beat Greece, but that was just one side. There's no chance you can even try and rob that fight. But on the second fight, it was I beat him the second round. The first round, sorry, there's no question about it. The second round, it was pretty even. I think I did better in that one either, and everybody else told me that too. And on the third round, I just beat his ass, and they gave it a split decision to his side to make it seem as if it was close, but they favored him, which it wasn't really close. And this is how they do. This is how they screw people's lives. Imagine somebody comes in, he trains his ass off, he has all his injuries, he has to cut weight, and then they just take his dream away, they take his salary away, because if you don't win, you don't get a monthly salary from the country, because you haven't I don't know how to say it in English, but there's certain things that you have to accomplish in order to get a monthly salary. And if they stop you from doing it because some piece of shit who done a 10-day course and pay like $1,000 just to get his little diploma, so they can say, "Oh, I'm a referee or a judge," he's sitting there and he's taking your chance of succeeding in his life. This is just, I have no words to say. People are scumbags. They're horrible.
Is it safe to say? Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I say, I really hope, after seeing what's going on here, I really hope they take boxing out of the Olympic Games, because this is just disgusting.
Well, we've definitely seen corruption before in the amateur boxing game. It does seem like behind the scenes, the countries that donate or provide the most money to the associations end up meddling, end up winning fights that they have no business winning. We've seen this in countless Olympics as well. I remember it was 1 or 2 Olympics ago, Uzbekistan won a few medals, and then it just so happened that they had actually been one of the leading cash cows to the AIBA. And, doesn't seem like any of this has ever been found out or discovered. All of this gets swept under the rug. But, you could definitely see why a lot of fighters have opted out to not fight in the Olympics and go right to their professional careers. And, I would like to think that you're one of the few boxers that I've seen that have actually started their pro career and then went back to the amateur scene. Now, I know you're not the only one, but you're, definitely the most notable one on my radar that I've seen from that. Would you say that it's safe to say you will never be competing in amateur boxing again?
As for now, no chance. Unless something changes, no freaking chance I'm doing it again. I've been to a month and a half training camp. I caught weight for that because I was sure I'm going to bring gold medal. I had no doubt that I'm going to just walk through everybody here. Even in sparring, the guy that I lost to the Ukrainian, I sparred him. It was easy work. But then again, it was way more rounds. Because when you do stuff with training, it's way more rounds than here. Here, I already started breaking down at that round, but it's over already. And the judges, they already know who's going to win that fight before the fight even starts. And there's no chance to knock somebody out. There is always a small chance, but there's a really small chance for you to knock somebody out with these crappy gloves. When I put them on, I was like, you cunts. This is the kind of gloves they give this kind of gloves on purpose. So to make it seem like, oh, we're protecting the boxers, they don't care about our protection. They care for the fights not ending in a knockout because they have somebody they favor to win.
That's very unfortunate. I mean, everybody knows that boxers or fighters in general are some of the hardest working athletes. Not only do they have to get in there and proceed in hand-to-hand combat, but they also need to cut weight. They also have to go through treacherous training camps that do cost a lot of money, and the return on investment monetary wise in the beginnings of your careers don't actually make up for the money that you guys spend to keep your bodies healthy on the nutrition side, the physiotherapy side, and then the actual training itself. So, this is just one of the great travesties of boxing, is the politics that are behind it. And, we're not blind to the fact as well that there are politics in professional boxing as well. But, the fact that the fights are no more than 6 to 9 minutes, the gloves are too heavy, the scorecards are already filled out before the matches have started. It just makes it, a complete travesty. And I could obviously tell how emotional and how pissed off you are about it. So, I think for now it is safe to say that perhaps amateur boxing won't be something that you will perhaps explore in the future. Did you speak with any of the judges? Did you make any comments to the association? Because I'm sure you saw when Michael Conlon was robbed against the Ukraine as well, he wasn't shy to kind of tell them how he felt. So, was there anything that was said on
He
your end?
fought Vladimir Nikitin from Russia. But it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. I'm not sure the Ukrainians put money into this. But at the moment, with how everything is going on in Ukraine right now, the whole world is feeling obliged to kind of make it up to them, as if they're wronged by them. I don't know what's going on right now, but the whole world. Have you seen the Eurovision? Have you heard about it?
Eurovision?
Yeah, it's like a song contest for all the Euro countries in
Okay,
Europe.
no, I haven't.
Yeah, so obviously everybody knew who's gonna win the Euros this year. This is the most political show in Europe. You can imagine who won that one.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing is going on. If you have a close fight with somebody from the Ukraine, you better know that the judge is gonna side with.
How did your opponent go on to do for the rest of the tournament?
He actually got robbed this fight, his next fight.
By which
I hope
country?
I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna Spain. He lost the first round, and he beat him the second and third one. And I really hope I'm gonna see him and say, "Hey, how does it feel?"
Well, you know what they say, David, what goes around comes around. In most cases, people like to see their opponents that they lose to go on to do greater things, win championships, win gold medals. But I think in this scenario, it gave you a little bit more satisfaction that he got a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, I kind of do. But then again, I really hope I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna tell him that. I have no feel that I'm gonna say whatever I feel like I want to say. After the fight, we are in the same locker rooms, and he came because I've seen it. I know him before, so he came to shake hands. I was like, I shook his hand, and I said, you didn't win that fight, and he said, Nah, I won that fight. I said, No, you know that you didn't win that fight, and he just walked away. So I have no problem to say what I think, and I'm gonna tell him if I see him again. I'm gonna tell him like, hey, you know how it feels now, right?
Is he a professional fighter?
No, he's just amateur. Some countries it's better for them to stay amateur than go professional because they have support from the countries, like Russia, for example, or Ukraine too. Sometimes they get presents. They don't get as much money, but let's say you win a medal in the Europeans, you can get a car from some rich guy who wants to sponsor you and stuff like that. So in the professionals, you're gonna get some money, but you're not gonna get enough to buy a brand new car like these countries are giving you, or like Russia. Sometimes you win a big tournament, they can give you a house, for example, an apartment when you win the Olympics and stuff like that. So it works. There's no reason to be professional.
Right. Now, how are you enjoying your time in Armenia right now?
I'm having pretty some fun. I have family here, so I first things they came to support me, and then I came to their house. It's pretty close by, 20 minutes drive, so it's pretty cool. Looking at this scenarios, nature, and everything. I'm not much of a party guy, so I have no idea what's going on with that kind of thing here.
And what would you say the biggest cultural differences there are between Israel, Armenia, and let's even throw in the United States now that you spend some time there?
Well, Armenia is very conservative. They're very traditional. Um, Israel is very close to the United States. As much people don't know it, they think about, oh, they come to Israel. They're Jewish people. They're probably just all they do is pray and have their tradition and stuff. It's not like that. Israel is very similar to the United States. Armenia is more traditional, way more traditional. They're more conservative.
Where do you go from here? Will you fly back to Israel or will you go straight into camp?
Now I'm gonna come back to Israel. I'm gonna stay a little bit and then probably fly back to Vegas, get back into training, and then hopefully get a fight as soon as possible.
For sure, time
Professional.
to rewrite some of those wrongs that the Europeans have brought in you. Now, you are coached by the famous Floyd Mayweather Sr. Let's talk about how you guys linked up, how it feels being coached by a legend in the sport who carries such a powerful name in boxing, and we'll go from there. What's it like?
Well, I'm not coached only by Floyd. I have another coach. His name is Cedric Ferguson. He's good, very good coach too. But as for Floyd, my manager, he kind of set this whole thing up. He called Floyd to his office. They talked. He took a look at me and he said he's interested in training me, and then kind of took off from there.
Very easy,
He,
very simple. And what would you say have been the biggest blessings in now being coached by not only Cedric Ferguson, but now Floyd Mayweather Sr.? How has he added to your style? How has he added to your confidence? And how do you feel overall having him in your corner?
it's pretty cool. It's a kind of a dream come true. You can't say anything else. I never thought when I started boxing, I never thought that I'm ever gonna get to where I got to now. Never in my life. I never had plans to become a champion or anything like that. It just hard work that kind of just kept on rolling, kept rolling. Every time I had a setback, I said, okay, it's fine. I had a few days that I felt like shit, and then okay, just keep on training, keep on training. Just things are started rolling, and then all of a sudden, in the United States, first there was all these countries in Europe and some countries in Asia, and then the United States, and all of a sudden I was living in the United States in Las Vegas, and then this happens, and Floyd coaches me. It just kind of kept on rolling. I never expected it, never had plans for it to happen. It just happened.
Wow. That's a pretty cool story. I mean, it just goes to show you that sometimes when even you don't have a sense of direction, but you still keep on going and keep persevering, that good things will come, especially to good people who work hard. So I think that there's a lot of meaning in that story, even though it's not a crazy story. It's very simple. It's straight to the point. But at the same time, there's a lot at the beginning and the end of that story that people don't realize, that there were a lot of miles ran. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There were a lot of hamburgers that you had to say no to. But more importantly, there were a lot of training sessions that you showed up to when you didn't want to that brought you to this point. And I think that that's really commendable. What would you say is the biggest difference training in Israel versus training in Las Vegas? Because I think that now you must have so much access to sparring partners and just overall being in one of the main hubs of boxing in the world, which is Las Vegas, versus perhaps Israel, which, definitely has brought you to this point in your career, but there must be a huge advantage being based out of Vegas.
Yeah, of course. The sparring is the big thing. Training methods are different as well, and there's just a huge difference. But the biggest one is definitely sparring. There's not much sparring in Israel, and we have a lot of talented guys in Israel, a lot of talent, but they just quit because there's no other path to take. There's only amateur. and they come in. Some of them are not good enough. They lose, but they don't have that heart to keep on losing. At some point, for example, me, I started competing when I was like internationally. I started competing when I was just 18. I didn't have youth experience. I didn't have junior experience. Nothing. I quit it at times. I never took it seriously. And then I was just losing every single time. And my parents are like minimum salary workers at that time, and I had no money. I had to go to the military. What kind of money do I have? So my parents had to pay from their own pocket, their hard-earned money, for me to fly to these tournaments, to these training camps, for me to get that experience. And I was always losing. That was a horrible experience for me. I remember I was crying. I was coming home, I was crying. I was telling my dad, I'm done with this, because all I do is just wasting your guys' money. I don't bring anything back. And my dad said, I don't care about this one. He said, if you start this, you better take it seriously. So I kept on trying. I had about 3 years that every single tournament that I fly to, every single one, I'm losing. I'm flying a few times a year, and I lose every single time. How many people do you know that would not quit? They would come back and say, okay, it's a waste of money. I'm not getting any money. I'm a pretty grown-ass guy, and I'm not getting anything. Not many.
So,
And then,
after all of those tournaments that you had come home empty-handed, at what point did the tide start to turn in your favor and the wind started generating your way?
so I started competing in 2012, 2015. So 3 years later is when I slowly started. It's not like every time I flew somewhere, I started winning, because then there's still this times that you get robbed when you represent a small country like Israel, when you have no judges, you don't come with no money, no protection, you're getting robbed. But I started getting some wins, and then I started getting a little bit of a salary from the the Olympic Committee, Israeli one, and then things have started looking better.
Wow. Another story of perseverance and, that never say die attitude. Who has been some of the most beneficial guys that you have been sparring with in Las Vegas?
So I was sparring Kazuki Ioka, which is the only four division world champion from Japan. I've been his main sparring partner for 2 training camps. I sparred. What was it? I sparred a bunch of guys. I gotta think. I sparred the Maloney brothers. They're awesome. 2 of them, both of them are really good guys. Sparred. What was I sparred? The 2-time Olympic gold medalist from Cuba. I forgot his name. Urbasi Ramirez. Sparred him. Tatsukina Yambayar from Mongolia. Before Gerd Russell. Obviously, they're heavier, so we didn't spar full power. It's more technical sparring. But I sparred a bunch of guys. I just don't remember every single one of them at the moment.
Well, you definitely named some big superstars right there, and some big, some big boxing greats who have done a lot in their career already. Would you say that already going to Las Vegas has already accelerated your career and your skill set a lot faster than you had ever anticipated?
I wouldn't say that much faster than anticipated, but definitely got my skills way better. But it's also because I'm very open minded. I have no ego, and I never say no. I already know everything. I'm always open to learn. And I hope I'm gonna stay that way.
And when you're in your off time, which fighters do you like to watch? Which fighters do you like to study? Are you a boxing historian? Do you like to watch some of the older fighters? Do you like to watch some of the newer stuff? Do you like to mix it up a little bit? Who inspires you, and who do you like to study?
So obviously, my 2 favorite ones are Terence Crawford, because I really like switching stances. I think he's awesome. I think he's the best boxer at the moment. Then I really love Lomachenko. I love the way he boxes. The angles are just crazy. As for the old school boxers, Sugar Ray Robinson obviously was ahead of his time. I really liked watching his fights. Roy Jones, everybody's favorite, the genetic freak, Mike Tyson. There's no other. Um, yeah, I can name a lot of boxers, but this is my kind of my favorite ones.
Very cool. So you don't necessarily discriminate to the smaller fighters. You feel that you could take something from all fighters from all weight classes.
Right. As for the smaller guys, I really like Chocolatito Gonzalez. I think he's just awesome. There's also Naya Inoue, the Japanese who knocks everybody out. Then again, you can really look at the way he boxes because he's just pure power. So I don't think I can learn too much from him.
Now, this might be a bit of a controversial question, but it's something that had popped into my mind. Now, what do you think? Who do you think in their prime would have been able to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
In their prime. Well, Castillo beat him the first time. I watched that fight a few times. He did. I know some people that are just refuse to accept, but he beat him. But let's think out of box in their prime. Floyd is a genius. Even if when his style doesn't look like he can, like there's certain people that can beat him. I think you have to be somebody who's really, really awkward to beat Floyd. Even like the first Maidana fight was a bit could have gone either way. So I can't really think about somebody right now, but if there is somebody who can beat Floyd, it has to be somebody that's really, really awkward.
Very cool. Now, going back to Israel, I assume you're going to take a little bit of time off before you get back into training. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to when you go back to the homeland?
I'm gonna see my girl. Hopefully enjoy some nature time. Well, let's see. What else can I do back home? I'm not doing too much. I'm gonna go to the beach, hike. Nothing crazy.
Now, when you're off in your training time, are you somebody that likes to break his diet a little bit, or are you somebody who is strict all year round? Because we obviously know that Israeli delicacy is one of the best delicacies out there, so it could be kind of hard to not get a little bit carried away.
No, I get carried away, but not too much. I'm staying healthy most of the time. But if I want something and not in camp, I'm definitely gonna eat it.
Now, how does it play on a young Israeli boy or woman's mind, boy or girl's mind, when they know that it will be a soon enough amount of time, or it'll be soon enough when they will have to be signed up for the army? How does that weigh on an everyday person?
Not an athlete or just regular person.
Well, I assume an athlete, it must be a little bit annoying knowing that it'll get in the way of their career. But, just an everyday person or an athlete, how does that weigh on one's mind knowing that I believe once they turn 18 years old, they're going to have to join the military?
It really depends on the person. Some people are very patriotic and they want to join the forces that I don't know what to say, like the first forces that combat forces, because we have a lot of different ones. I'd say I was an exceptional athlete, which means that for me going to base was like going to school. I wake up early in the morning, I go to the base, I stay there for 6 hours, and I go back home every single day. So some people will view this kind of military service as a waste of 3 years. Some just very patriotic and they want to go as like that the most dangerous thing you can. It depends on the person.
Right.
But most people, I don't think most people want it to be that long, because then again, you're 18 years old and then you go to the army for 3 years. You don't earn much money. The only thing, it just kind of shapes you like a different person. Like Israelis are way more mature than, let's say, Americans. When I came to America, I looked at at the 20-year-olds and 21, even 25s. I was like, these guys act like kids, like serious kids. In Israel, once you finish the army, you're already kind of a man.
Was that a big adjustment for you going to the United States and already feeling like you were light years ahead of them from a maturity standpoint?
No, I don't. I really didn't too much. And again, most of my friends in Vegas are Israelis too, so that doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
But I'm good with all the Americans too. Like I have a lot of friends as well. That it's still different. You know? But once you've done 3 years of military service, you're a different person.
Have you been able to treat yourself to In-N-Out Burger in Las Vegas?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Definitely. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think we have better burgers in Israel.
Which is the best?
In Israel, some people are gonna hate me for it, but I really enjoy Black Burger Bar in Israel. I really enjoy it.
Very cool. Now, the last thing that I wanted to ask you is, you're going to go back to Israel, take a little bit of time off, and then perhaps will you then fly to Vegas and get ready for another camp, or will you start the camp in Israel?
I'm always staying in shape, so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be training in Israel. Once I go back to Vegas, this is where I'm gonna take it to a different level and start training really hard for any upcoming fight. So my plan at the moment, because I'm right now really mad at amateurs. My plan is to get as big as I can in terms of my professional career, to get to a place where I'm gonna be I would say an ambassador for Israeli boxing. And I'm going to dedicate my career to talk as much trash and shit about amateur boxing if things are changed. I'm going to be exposing everything that goes up here. Right now, I'm not as big at the moment, but when the time comes, I'll make sure that everybody knows how corrupt this crap is.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. David Alverdian, not a big fan of the AIBA, not a big fan of the IBA. He's got a chip on his shoulder against the amateur boxing circuit. He doesn't like the association. He doesn't like the weekend referees and judges. Not only will he be whooping ass in his professional career, looking to be 7-0, but you best believe he's looking to be an ambassador for the country of Israel to, not let those mistakes happen again, to what happened to him in his amateur shortcomings, especially fighting for the European Cup. David, I thank you for coming on the show. If there's any last things that you'd like to leave us with, please do. And, we're looking forward for you to make it 7-0 in your professional career, to forget about the shortcomings of the European Cup. And I definitely think that the country of Israel deserves for you to be an ambassador in the amateur boxing scene, to be able to educate young boxers, because losses like this and robberies like this will stop a young, hungry fighter on continuing his career.
Right. First of all, thank you for having me. And second of all, if there's anybody who's just starting their career or having hardships at the moment, just don't give up, guys, because you never know where it's gonna end. And if things are a bit hard at the moment, it's not gonna stay there forever. Just little roadblocks. Just gonna jump through them and continue. So
yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, David. Never give up, never surrender. Don't let those roadblocks get in your way. For every loss will soon become a W. And I thank you again, David. Thank you very much.
I'll see you later.